When you look at the California coast and you look at the ice caps of the Sierra Mountains, the tundra of Alaska, and the Rocky Mountains, it's because of these ice caps of these waters of these mountaintops that leaves the oasis of the desert areas of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, California, and Arizona a dry desert. When you look at the ancient maps, a lot of the ancient maps show this area of the California 120 degrees west as an island. And when you understand the volcanic interactions of this coastline and the subduction zones, the San Andreas fault lines, and other fault lines, and the earthquakes and how they have formed the valleys and rifts and wind currents here of the Pacific. So when you look at the oceanic plate of the Pacific plate in accordance with the Cocos plate, which is near Mexico, and the Caribbean plate is what causes these Rockies in this area and this landmark with the Scorpio. So when you look at the scorching heat of Death Valley in these areas of these desert areas, and the snow, the freezing of the snow of the rains, this is what at times prevented these areas from overflowing, coming back into how they existed. When you look at areas as well, when you look at areas on the latitude above 60 degrees, the Arctic, the tundra, and these areas consumed by ice, and you look at this particular time of the winter in the Scorpio, the month of Ophiuchus, the 13th sign of the zodiac, Mu, and the darkness of this particular time in the northern tropic in these areas for the winter. The Americas is the only landmass that has a winter in its northern tropic and a summer in its southern tropic. This is what allows for the Americas to be in an abundance and trade with each other from north and south as one empire, being that they have this existence. So during the summer, the northern tropic has the summer and the southern tropic has the winter. So when we look here at these ice caps, it is because of these ice caps. If the water was to be able to run off as it should, without, because the sun is not in the latitude as high as it should be in times past of the ancients, because of what has taken place with the boundaries and the set boundaries of the earth today. This is what prevents California and a lot of these areas from looking like this on the map. When you understand the frozen waters that would run off from these mountaintops to form these great seas, these great oceans, and things into the Pacific, flowing through Colorado, through the Rockies, and these things. These areas, these rivers were large oceans, in a sense, seas, or that were connected with the ocean, that made California and the Gulf near Baja California seem as if the Californias were an island. We understand Washington, Oregon, and these areas would have been overflown with water all the way coming down into the flatlands until you get to the Rockies, into a lot of these areas. So when you look at the ancient maps, the ancient times, a lot of these areas were overflown with water and you had to do seafaring. This is why the northern hemisphere is known as Mu. When you look at the prehistoric mounds and the setting of the mounds, they were all set by waterways. When you look here at these waterways, these things are ancient highways. When you understand these wetlands, oceanic seafloors, and how high the waters should be in these elevated mountain areas. You can see here, imagine if the sun was to be at a higher latitude to be able to melt all of this water. Imagine the effect it would have on the lower latitudes of the Californias, the Great Basin, and how that would feel. The rivers would be flooded. So these things do not get to happen because of the motion of the sun's rotation from tropic to tropic. This is what allows for this area of the north to experience these climate temperatures, allowing the waters to freeze, to stay solid, to hold back the water. So when you look at the holding back of the waters, the boundaries, the signs of the seasons are essential. The signs of heaven are important because they indicate times and appointments to let us know the covenant, the agreement with the Most High is still aligned. He's still going to hold back the waters. He's still going to hold back these things in freezing them, so that way we can be agricultural dominant in the land and grow things such as corn, maize, and different things with the rains. So these things were essential when you look at the formation of rain dance and in the particular time of the serpents, the 13th sign of the zodiac, November 30th, when you look at the month of Ophiuchus, and this location here of where the sun dies, the mouth, the great ring of fire. When we look at the ring of fire and the celestial navigations and these plate tectonics, when you look at the plate, a bowl, a basin, and people don't understand why we say the earth is flat. You understand that a plate, a bowl, a basin, these things hold volume in sense, you know what I'm saying? So they're not flat in a sense, but when you understand the ability to hold volume in these different things, geometrically, this is how we can view and survey the land and understand the land and understand the subduction zones and understand the ley lines and understand the hot points and the places in the earth where energy is at its fullest, to tap into that, to harness that, conduct that. So when you look at the volcanoes and a conveyor belt or an elevator, that science, that knowledge comes from the understanding of the volcanoes and the subduction zone in that process. So when you look at the ancient priesthood and the ancient knowledge here of the Americas, which they find as primitive, these things are ancient here to this area that the Most High dried up. The Most High dried up this oasis and left it a desert land. And instructed men on how to develop mounds or little earths to grow corn, beans, and squash together in a science. That is a science. So some say, oh, that's primitive, but that is a science to it. When you understand what each does for each other and their supporting of each other to build what they call the three sisters. When you look at this, the Americas, the mound building, and the understanding that the earth is flat. When you look here, we don't mean flat, we mean in the to be able to hold volume. When we look at volcanoes, stuffing zones, and this understanding of the earth, we were advanced beyond comprehension.
hearts beat.